The sick child's cry. The night was cold and quiet in the lower districts of Sector 9. Rusted metal homes stood close together like broken teeth. The stars above blinked behind thick clouds of smoke. Everything felt heavy and dark. Inside a small shack, a sick alien child lay on a torn mat. His body was thin. His skin, once a soft purple, had turned pale gray. His eyes were closed, but every few minutes he let out a weak cough that shook his whole body. Each cough made his mother wince like she was the one in pain. The mother, Lunara, sat beside him. She held his hand with trembling fingers. Her face looked tired and thin. Her eyes were wide with fear. "Please stay with me," she whispered. "Just a little longer." She stood up quickly and grabbed a dirty cloth. She soaked it in cold water and wiped her son's forehead. His skin burned like fire. His breath came in short, fast gasps. "No, no, no," Lunara whispered again, as if the words could keep death away. She rushed outside. The wind hit her face. Her long cloak flapped behind her as she ran from one shack to the next. She knocked on doors, some made of metal, others of old plastic sheets. "Please," she cried at each one. "My child has fever. He needs green root medicine. Please help me." But each door closed on her face. "No green root here. Go away, alien trash. We have nothing for your kind." Tears rolled down her cheeks. Her people had been pushed to the edge of the city, forgotten and hated. The medicine she needed was common in human zones, but no trader would sell to her, not without money. And she had none. She fell to her knees outside one large closed gate. Her hands hit the cold ground. "Please. He's just a boy. He's all I have." From the shadows across the street, a pair of eyes watched. A human man stood still, hidden under the broken roof of an old building. He wore a long coat and carried a small pack on his back. He had heard her cries. He had seen her knocking, begging. He looked at the small shack where the child lay. Something pulled at his heart. He remembered a long time ago, when his own sister had died from fever. No one had helped them either. He took one step forward, then stopped. Would she even trust him? Aliens feared humans now, and some humans hated aliens. It was not easy to cross that line. But then, a sound cut through the silence, a scream. It was Lunara. The man ran. Inside the shack, Lunara was holding her son's body. He had stopped coughing. He was shaking, his eyes rolled back. Foam came from his lips. "No, no, no, please stay awake," she cried. The man entered without knocking. Lunara turned fast, her eyes wide. She pulled her son closer, trying to protect him. "Stay away," she shouted. "Don't take him." "I'm not here to hurt you," the man said quickly. His voice was calm but firm. "I heard him, the child. I can help." Lunara didn't believe him. She'd heard too many lies before. She held the boy tighter. "Leave." But then the man reached into his coat and pulled out a small scanner. It beeped once, then showed red blinking lights. "His fever is too high. His organs are failing," the man said. "He needs green root extract, fast." Lunara's lip trembled. "I've tried. I've begged. They won't sell to me. I know someone who has it," the man said. She looked at him, eyes full of disbelief and broken hope. "Then, why are you still standing here?" He nodded once and turned. "Keep him warm. I'll be back." Then he was gone. Lunara sat back, holding her son. His body felt lighter now. Too light. She whispered lullabies into his ear. Songs from her home planet. Songs of better days. But deep inside, a voice kept asking, will he return? Or was he just another false hope? Outside, the human man moved fast through the streets. He didn't know what would happen next. But something inside him knew. He had to try. The medicine that didn't exist, it started to rain as the human ran. Not the clean kind of rain, but thick brown drops that smelled like oil. The sky over Sector 9 cried, like the mother inside that shack. But he didn't stop. His boots splashed through mud and trash. His breath came fast. He had one goal: get the green root medicine. But there was a problem. Green root was banned in alien zones. Only black market traders had it, and they didn't sell for money. They sold for blood. He reached a rusted elevator shaft, climbed down, old cables, and slipped through a narrow gap between two collapsed walls. On the other side was an old bunker hidden beneath the ruins. Inside, the smell hit hard: sweat, gunpowder, and something sour. This was the pit. Humans and aliens both came, here but not to shop. They came to gamble, to fight, to trade secrets, and sometimes lives. A woman with metal eyes looked up from a counter. "Looking for trouble?" she asked with a dry laugh. "Looking for green root," he said. She stared at him. "You're in the wrong place to be a hero." "I have a child who's dying," he said. "Your child," she smirked. "No," he replied. "But I promised a mother." The woman tapped a button. A panel opened behind her. "Go through. But if they don't like your face, I won't stop them." He walked in. The room was dim. 3 men sat at a table made of bones. One of them, a big man with tattoos that glowed, leaned back and laughed. "A human playing savior? This I gotta see." "I need green root," the man said simply. The tattooed man grinned. "I have it." "Name your price," the man said. The trader stood up and walked slowly. "You want to save an alien brat? Fine, I'll give you the vial. In exchange for something." "What?" The man pointed to a cage in the corner. Inside, a small alien. Boy sat chained. "Bring me a replacement, a female, her kind, young, quiet, obeys." The human's hands tightened into fists. "I don't deal in slaves." "Then you don't get the medicine." The man looked at the cage. The boy inside looked up at him, eyes full of fear. He was just like the dying child he was trying to save. For a second, the human didn't move. Then he turned and walked out. The trader called behind him, "Come back when you grow a cold heart." But the human had something else. A plan. He moved quickly now, across back alleys and broken roads. He remembered something, an old storage site, where smugglers used to hide stolen herbs. Most thought it was empty now. But he had once helped someone there. A favor returned, maybe? He reached the building. The windows were broken. Inside was silent, but not dead. He climbed into the back room, rubbed dust from a shelf, and there, behind old crates, a locked metal box. He pried it open, and there it was, a single vial, glowing green, green root extract. He almost laughed, but there was no time. Suddenly, a sound, a growl. He turned fast. Behind him stood a wild creature, thin, fast, angry, left behind by smugglers, guarding what was forgotten. The man backed up slowly, holding the vial tight. The creature lunged. He dove to the side, rolling behind crates. The vial nearly slipped from his hand. He grabbed a metal rod and swung hard as the beast charged again. The rod hit the creature's side. It cried out, then fled into the shadows. Breathing hard, the man stood up. He still had the medicine, but now he was bleeding. Back at the shack, Lunara held her child close. He was barely breathing. His skin was almost blue. She whispered, "Please, someone." Then a knock. She didn't move. She was too tired to hope. The door creaked open. He stood there, wet, muddy, bleeding, but holding the vial high. "I told you I'd be back." The forbidden border, the vial was empty now. The child had swallowed the last drop, but he still didn't wake up. Lunara sat with her son's head in her lap, praying in whispers, rocking back and forth. The green root extract had slowed the fever, but the human's face was tight with worry. "That wasn't enough," he said. "He needs more, or he won't last the night." Lunara looked up, her voice barely a whisper. "But there is no more." "There is," the human said. On the other side of the border. Her breath caught. Her eyes went wide. No one crosses that line. Not alive. He didn't reply. He was already packing. The border wasn't a fence, it was a wound. Once long ago, humans and aliens shared this land. Now it was sliced in half. On one side, tall buildings, clean air, human patrols. On the other, dirt, disease, broken hopes. Between them, a dead zone. No roads, no lights. Only silence. And sensors. The human crouched at the edge, looking out. A single step would trigger alarms. Drones would come. And if he was caught, torture. Death. Or worse. He didn't care. He looked back once. At the alley he'd come from. No one followed. He took a deep breath and ran. He moved fast, feet light, eyes alert. The wind was sharp, carrying sand and whispers. Midway through the zone, he froze. A drone. It hovered high, its red eye scanning the ground. The human dropped flat behind a broken vehicle. He held his breath. A faint beep. The drone passed. He moved, again sliding through rubble, ducking behind walls. Every second felt like hours. Finally, he reached the human checkpoint. Tall metal walls. Bright lights. Armed guards. He couldn't walk through the front gate, but he knew something. He had once worked here, as a cleaner. He knew the vents. Sneaking in was like stepping into another world. Inside the facility, the walls were white. The air smelled of machines and fresh food. Everyone wore clean suits and carried smart weapons. And somewhere in this building was the full-dose vial of green root, in the medical vault. He crept through the halls, using old maintenance tunnels. No cameras here. They never expected anyone to come from below. He reached the vault door. Locked fingerprint access only. He paused, thinking fast. Then he smiled. A few minutes later, a guard walked down the hall with coffee in hand. Suddenly, a small metal ball rolled near his foot. It clicked. Then smoke burst from it. Ah, what? The guard choked, dropped the coffee, and stumbled. A figure moved from the shadows. Quick, silent, a punch to the neck. The guard fell. The human took his hand, pressed it to the scanner. Click. The door opened. Inside were rows of glowing bottles, red, blue, gold, and there on the top shelf, the green root. 3 full vials. He grabbed them. Footsteps echoed down the hall. The alarm had been silent, but it had been triggered. He ran, back through the vent, down the tunnel. But now, someone had blocked the other end. A flashlight clicked. A human officer stood there. Stop right there. The human raised his hand slowly. You don't understand. There's a child. I don't care, the officer growled. Drop it now. The man had a choice, fight or lose the medicine. He made a third choice. He threw the vial, not at the officer, but into the sewer pipe beside him. Then he jumped in after it. The officer shouted behind him. But the man was already swimming through the foul water, holding the green vials above his head with one hand. The current pulled him. His lungs burned. But all he could see was the alien child's face. Pale. Quiet. Dying. And he swam harder. At the edge of Sector 9, Lunara waited. Her hands were cold, her heart even colder. Then, suddenly, water splashed. A figure pulled itself from the drain, soaked, bleeding, shaking, but alive. He held up the 3 glowing vials and smiled, the deal with the dealer. The fever broke at sunrise. The child breathed easier now, wrapped in warm cloth, his skin less pale. Lunara didn't sleep. She just stared at him, afraid he would stop breathing again. The human sat near the door, bleeding through his shirt. His hand shook as he held a small fire stick to warm himself. Lunara finally looked at him. You saved him. He didn't smile. There are others, he said. Sick, dying, no one helping. Lunara nodded slowly. Yes. Many. He stood, winced, then said, I need more green root. Not for one child. For all of them. Lunara's face twisted, in worry. But where? He looked at her, his eyes cold now. There's only one place left, the underground market. The underground market was not a place you walked into. It was a place you entered if you were desperate or foolish, or both. Deep under Sector 9, past broken pipes and glowing fungus, hidden behind an old mining shaft, it was called the Maw. It was alive, not with life, but with deals, threats, whispers, screams. Slaves were traded here, poisons, secrets, and rare medicine. But everything had a price, and sometimes that price was a soul. The human and Lunara entered through a cracked door lit by red light. The air smelled like burnt oil and dried blood. Lunara clutched her cloak tight. We shouldn't be here. I know, the human said. They passed a creature eating raw meat with 6 hands, past a cage with a blind alien girl inside, then stopped at a thick metal door. A voice from behind it growled, "State your need." "I want green root." "Bulk," the human answered. The door creaked. Open inside sat a man, not fully human. His skin was smooth and shining, his eyes glowed yellow, and beside him, 3 guards stood with pulse guns ready. "You came to the wrong place, soft skin," the dealer said. "But you're lucky. I like people with guts." The human stepped forward. "I'll trade. Whatever you want." The dealer laughed. "That's a dangerous offer." "I need enough medicine for a dozen children." The dealer pulled out a silver box, opened it. Inside were rows of green vials. Lunara gasped softly. "You can have this," the dealer said. "But I want something first." The human waited. The dealer turned to Lunara. "Her." Silence. The human blinked. "What?" "She's beautiful," the dealer said, licking his lips. "Her kind sells well, loyal, quiet. I'll give you triple. Supply if you leave her behind." Lunara stepped back in shock. The human looked at her, then back at the dealer. "No deal," he said quietly. The dealer smirked. "Then I raised the price." "What do you want?" the human asked. "A life," the dealer whispered. "Kill someone for me. A rival. 1 bullet. 1 shot. Then I give you everything." Lunara's eyes widened. "Don't." But the human asked one thing. "Who?" Later that night, the human stood on a rooftop watching a man walk below. The target. A known smuggler. A bad man, but still a living one. He raised the gun the dealer gave him. He looked through the scope. The man below had a limp. He stopped to pet a stray animal. The human's hand trembled. He couldn't do it. He dropped the gun. Back at the Maw, the dealer sat waiting. When the human returned empty-handed, the guards raised their guns. "You come here. You ask for my help. You fail. Now you leave with nothing." The human reached into his coat and slammed a data chip on the table. "What's this?" the dealer growled. "Coordinates," the human said. "To an old vault. Military. Hidden. Inside is pure root. Stronger than green root." The dealer narrowed his eyes. "And you're just giving this to me?" "No," the human said. "I'm trading it. For those vials." The dealer studied him, then grabbed the chip. "I'll check." 10 minutes passed like years. Then the dealer came back. "You weren't lying," he said. "It's real." He nodded to his guard. They dropped a sack full of green root at the human's feet. "Take it. But next time," the dealer warned, "don't come back alive." The human didn't reply. He picked up the sack and walked out with Lunara beside him. Above ground, the sun was rising, and in the quiet slum, the first child who drank the medicine opened her eyes. Then another, and another. Lunara stood beside the human, watching the children laugh. "You did it," she whispered. He shook his head. "We're just getting started." Fire in the forest. The forest wasn't supposed to burn, but it did. It started with a spark, and then the sky turned red. Ash fell like snow as trees cracked and screamed. The fire spread fast, swallowing the dark woods that once hid secrets and shadows. And somewhere deep inside the blaze, the human ran. His lungs burned, His clothes were torn. He held a small bag close to his chest, filled with the last vials of green root. He didn't look back. He couldn't, because behind him, they were coming. 2 days earlier, the green root saved the children of Sector 9. But when news spread that a human helped aliens and robbed the Maw's vault, the hunters were released. Not just one gang, 3, and they had one order: bring him back, dead or breathing. The human knew he couldn't stay. So he left Lunara and the kids behind and took the last batch of medicine to a forest outpost, where other alien families were hiding in sickness and fear. But now, the fire had ruined everything. Back in the burning forest, he stumbled into a small clearing. A metal structure stood half buried in moss. It was an old supply cabin, abandoned for years. He kicked the door open, rushed inside, and placed the medicine in a cooled crate. His hands moved fast, then shaky. A loud boom shook the walls. He looked out the crack of a window. Figures, at least 5, all armed. They weren't here to talk. The human grabbed a flare gun and tucked it in his belt. Then he took the bag of decoys, metal parts, fake vials, scrap pieces, and ran out the back. He led them away. The fire grew stronger. Trees crashed to the ground. The human darted through smoke, coughing, using the heat and chaos to vanish between roots and shadows. But the hunters were trained. One of them spotted him. There! A shot rang out, barely missing his shoulder. He dove behind a log, heart pounding. Another shot. This one hit a tree behind him. Bark exploded in his face. Then he saw it. An old riverbed, dry now but full of sharp rocks. He slid down fast, cutting his palms, biting back a cry. But at the bottom, he vanished. The hunters reached the edge and paused. He's gone. One growled. No, said the leader. He's hiding. Spread out. But they were too late. The human had looped back. At the cabin, he opened a hidden hatch beneath the floor and placed the real vials inside. Then he sealed it tight. Suddenly, a voice behind him. You think we're stupid? It was one of the hunters. The human turned slowly. You want the green root? It's not here. The hunter aimed his rifle. Wrong answer. But the human pulled the flare gun and shot the roof. The flare hit the old, dry wood. Whoomph! Flames exploded above them. The hunter screamed, falling back. The human ran again, this time with fire behind him and death ahead. He didn't care. He had one job: protect the cure. When he finally reached the cliff's edge, the sun was rising. His body ached. His lungs begged for rest. But he smiled. Below him, in the hidden valley, dozens of sick alien families waited. The fire had not reached them. Not yet. And the medicine was safe. He collapsed, watching the smoke rise into the sky like a warning. A storm was coming, but so was hope. The final breath. The child stopped breathing at midnight. It was quiet, too quiet. No cough, no cry, no heartbeat. Lunara froze. Her hands shook. She leaned closer and whispered his name. Rizzo. No answer. She touched his chest. Still. His skin had gone cold again, despite the blankets, despite the fire, despite the medicine. No, she gasped. No, no, no. Please not now. She pressed her ear to his mouth. Nothing. She screamed. 2 hours earlier, Lunara had smiled for the first time in days. Rizzo had opened his eyes. He even spoke a word. Mama, before falling back to sleep. But then, his breathing grew, shallow, then slower, then silent. Now, he lay limp in her arms, lifeless. Outside, children stirred. Some had already recovered thanks to the medicine the human brought. But Lunara's son, he was the reason this all began, and he was slipping away, again. The human was far, down the valley, distributing green root, teaching families how to use it safely. Then a small girl came running. "Mister," she cried. "The boy, the small one, he's not moving." His heart dropped. He dropped everything and ran. When he reached the hut, Lunara was on the floor holding Rizzo tight. Her face was wet with tears. She didn't look up. "He's gone," she whispered. "No," the human said. "Not yet." He took the boy into his arms. His face turned grim. The fever had come back, faster than before. "His body's crashing," he said. "The green root wasn't enough." "There's no more," Lunara sobbed. "It's gone." The human's eyes darted. His mind raced. Then he remembered. One vial. One last dose. He had hidden it under the cabin floor in the forest. The fire had scared away the hunters. But it also cut off the path. "I need time," he said. 15 minutes. "You'll never make it," Lunara cried. "The fire, the forest." "I don't need to make it back," he said. "I just need to get there." He ran like death itself was chasing him, back toward the edge of the woods, where smoke still filled the sky and ash still floated like ghosts. He didn't care about the cuts on his feet or the pain in his side. He cared about time. Each second felt like a scream. By the time he reached the cabin, the fire had eaten half of it. The roof was gone. The air was choking hot. He dropped to the ground and tore up the floor. Burning wood scorched his hands, but he didn't stop. Finally, his fingers touched metal. He ripped open the hidden box. There it was, the last vial. He wrapped it in cloth, stuffed it in his coat and turned, but flames had surrounded the cabin. There was only one way out, through the fire. He lowered his head, wrapped his arms tight around the medicine, and ran through the blaze. His coat caught fire. His skin blistered, but he didn't stop. Back at the hut, Lunara cried softly. Her son had not moved for 5 minutes. His lips were blue. Then, a crash. The human burst through the door, clothes smoking, coughing hard. He fell to his knees beside the child and pulled out the vial. "No more waiting," he said. He injected it directly into Rizzo's tiny arm. Then he pressed on the boy's chest. "Breathe, kid." He pressed again. "Come on." Again. Lunara held her breath. 1 second. 2. Then, gasp. Rizzo's chest rose. He coughed once, then again. Then started to cry. Lunara fell to the floor, weeping. She hugged her son, kissed his forehead 100 times. The human leaned back, eyes closed, face black with smoke and pain. He whispered, "Told you I'd get there." The healing and the promise. He woke up to the sound of soft laughter. Not screams, not gunfire, not coughing, just laughter. For a moment, the human thought he was dreaming. But when he opened his eyes, he saw the truth. Children, alien children, running. In the mud, chasing a ball made of old cloth. Their cheeks were full, their eyes bright, and sitting nearby, watching them with a tired smile, was Lunara, holding her son in her arms, alive. The human tried to sit up but groaned in pain. His chest felt heavy, his skin was bandaged, his arms were burnt. Lunara rushed to him. "No. Rest," she said gently. He smiled weakly. "Didn't know you could smile like that." She laughed softly. "Didn't know I could either." That night they sat around a fire with other alien families. One mother brought him hot broth. A small boy gave him a blanket. A father bowed deeply and said, "You are the reason my daughter breathes." The human shook his head. "I only did what should have been done." An old alien elder looked at him with tired eyes. "No human ever came here before you." "I'm not special," he replied. But they didn't believe him. To them, he was a legend now. Later, as the stars came out, Lunara sat beside him. Rizzo slept between them, snoring softly. "You gave him his life," she whispered. "He fought for it," the human said. "I just helped." Lunara looked up at the stars. "What will you do now?" He didn't answer right away. Then he said, "Leave, I guess. Go back. I'm not welcome here." She turned to him, her voice stronger now. "You're welcome here. Always." He glanced at her, unsure. "Even if more humans come for me?" She nodded. "They'll have to go through us first." The next morning, something unexpected happened. The aliens, those same families who once feared humans, stood together and built a sign outside the valley. It was carved from metal and wood. The letters were rough, uneven, but the message was clear: safe place, all children welcome. By the end of the week, more people came. Sick families, lost mothers, orphans, and with them, fear. But the human stood at the front. He shared the green root. He taught them how to clean wounds. He fixed broken shelters. He stayed. Lunara worked beside him. Sometimes their hands touched when passing supplies. Sometimes she laughed at his clumsy alien words. Sometimes they said nothing at all and still understood. One night, after everyone had gone to sleep, Lunara whispered to him, "We don't want you to leave." He looked at her, tired, burned, scarred, but finally, at peace. "You sure?" he asked softly. She nodded. "Rizzo calls you his second father now." He chuckled. "That makes me feel old. It makes you family," she said. The next morning, he made a choice. He didn't leave. He built a new roof on an old hut. He dug a deeper well for clean water. He taught the children how to grow food. And every night he told them stories about Earth, about stars, about heroes who didn't wear capes. One little girl asked him, "Were you a hero?" He looked at Lunara, standing nearby with Rizzo in her arms. Then he smiled. "No," he said. "I was just the only one who didn't walk away